Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son get together and talk about fantasy, science fiction, and other nerdy things we enjoy. Today, Zach's here for a Book Blast episode talking about book one of Pierce Brown's Red Rising series. And this is one I have not read, so you're safe here. Zach knows better than to spoil something for me. It hurts when he does that, so he does not. He's going to give us his reactions and thoughts to his experience with this book. If you've read it already, you can find out if you agree with Zach. If you haven't, this might help you know whether you should read it or not. Either way, if you enjoy what we have to say today, like the episode down below, subscribe if you haven't yet, leave us your thoughts in the comment box, and look in the show notes for the other ways that you can connect with us. We especially invite you to join us on Discord, where we have a lot of great people talking about the books that they love and other weird stuff from time to time. Okay, Zach, I am interested in this series.
Yes.
It's fairly high on my TBR. I will get to this by next year, before the end of the year for sure. It's kind of science fiction, right?
Yeah, that's actually the first thing I want to talk about. You could call this science fiction. You could call this speculative fiction. Both of those are very true.
Mm-hmm.
It reads like fantasy.
Interesting.
And so it's very solidly sci-fi, a little dystopian in ways, but it reads like fantasy. It has that kind of pacing and rise and fall, and it feels like you're in a fantasy novel, but you're super not.
I like it. All right. Give us the basic background of the setting, the premise of the book. Don't go into plot, but
Yeah.
what's the deal?
There exists a society, it's called the Society, that more or less has colonized the entirety of our solar system at this point. And at one point, basically said, hey, we have gone out and done this and we organize how ourselves are. Why should we be under the thumb of Earth's rule?
Okay.
And so they kicked Earth's ass and now have set up the society with a very strict caste system kind of thing to keep order. And it's very Roman inspired.
Okay.
And it's very obvious in its structure, in how the culture is. But to have the society exist, that being said, those especially of the lower castes, or as they refer to them, colors, each of these is given a color.
Oh, okay.
They're resentful. A lot of them are ignorant, but those who know are resentful. And so the reds, who are the lowest throughout this book, throughout the series, throughout other stuff, are going to do a variety of things to try and bring about an uprising, a red rising, if you will.
Is red the lower?
Red is the lowest of the colors.
Okay.
Gold is the highest.
Which, of course, comes into later book titles. Yes.
Now, there are so many other things that I could talk into this, but that gives away almost nothing, because so much of that is the spine and the backbone to give this story its setting, but isn't what happens in this story.
Okay. Now, you said this spreads across the solar system. So
yes.
Is space travel an element of the story?
Not in this book, necessarily.
Okay.
It's talked about. The series, I'll just blanketly say yes. This book predominantly takes place on Mars.
So we're focused in on one element in the midst of the bigger backdrop that you just described. And then as you move through the series, the scope will broaden. Is that kind of what you're saying?
As you go through, it keeps getting bigger. It keeps getting more. And every time you think, yeah, cool, this is awesome, where we go from here, it does go somewhere bigger and different and more. It delivers.
Okay, nice.
This first book, a lot of people think is really different than the rest of the series. I don't think it's that crazy different, but it does, because it's a little more self-contained. It's a little more just one planet and things. It has its own vibe. I would describe this first book as The Hunger Games meets Ender's Game meets Dune.
That's wow.
But I liked it better than any of those.
Okay. I've
To
heard a lot
put
of praise for this book.
to
Yeah.
put this in perspective, I have read 50 books so far this year. This book, Red Rising, is number 5.
Very nice. We'll see if it's still number 5 at the end of the year when we do our
It,
review
it,
of books episode.
it might not be, but it does deserve a decently high place. Now, one last thing that I do want to make sure to mention, this is a fun book. It's got a lot of things in it. It also does have some dark leanings. I would categorize it as being a little grimdark, but not because it feels like other grimdark books I've read.
Okay.
Rather because it's often emotionally brutal. One of the first lines in the book, it's like literally the first line on the first page, talks about how there is not enough gravity on Mars for someone's neck to break when you hang them. And so they make the loved ones pull their feet.
Ugh. Wow. Yeah,
and that just
rough.
sets the tone of how rough emotionally this world can be. Not that it always will be, but that it can be. And it hits into some of those notes in a very, very satisfying way.
One last question before we wrap up on this book then. This is part of a series, not a trilogy. And the series is not done yet, is it?
It's part of a trilogy and a series. Which is to say,
but there's more that come out.
There is a trilogy that more or less is all from one character's point of view. Beyond that, there is like a sequel series that expands and has more. There are 3 of what is believed to be 4 coming out there.
Okay.
The third
so
of that
there are
just
more
came
being
out
written
this
in this right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
The total story that will be told in this world is not done. But if you just wanted to read that first trilogy, that is a good self-contained story as is.
All right. Very good. Well, thanks, Zach. That just piques my interest that much more. I'd heard good things, but nice to hear it directly from you. If you agree, people, again, let us know in the comments below, and I'll read those and see what more I can draw from this. Please don't put spoilers in our own comment box. That ruins the point of a Book Blast episode. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.